While the Democratic Party and progressives have a split opinion on whether the United States should officially push for a ceasefire in Gaza, they should, a similar fight seems to be happening on the right wing. Apparently, commentators like Ben Shapiro are feuding with other conservative commentators like Candace Owens over her view on the government of Israel during this conflict. Let's take a look.
Yes, the question was about Candace Owens. I think her behavior during this has been disgraceful. Without a doubt. I think it's I can't know that. Yeah, I mean, she still works for my company. I think she's been absolutely disgraceful. I think that her faux sophistication on these particular issues has been ridiculous. It's not faux sophistication, it's ridiculous. Everybody can see the moves that she's making and the things that she's saying, and I find them disreputable.
Yeah, Candace Owens has been so incredibly disgraceful. Oh, I mean, normally, yes, I would agree with that. Except on this one, I'm going to have to call BS. Because, I mean, what entirely, like, what opinion has she had on Israel Gaza that has been disgraceful? Would it be this? No government anywhere has a right to commit a genocide, ever. There's no justification for genocide. I can't believe this even needs to be said, or is even considered the least bit controversial to state. I mean, disgraceful, that's disgraceful? Being anti-genocide? And by the way, after she posted this, she was immediately attacked by Dave Rubin, who was, actually, Palestinians, they have a growing population, you see, so is it really a genocide if there are more people? So, look, in that post, she didn't even mention who was doing the genocide, but it didn't matter. They, again, went after her for it. Not only that, but a week after the October 7th attack, Owens had fought with conservative journalist Megyn Kelly on X, formerly known as Twitter, over whether college students that are protesting for Palestinians should be blacklisted. Now, Owens said the students basically shouldn't be, I guess she doesn't agree with them fully on things and still thinks, all the normal things that members of the far right think about, college students being, in their words, idiots. But she did say that they believe they're fighting for some other righteous cause and that they're in need of education, not blacklists. So I guess it's a more of a pro-free speech position than Ben Shapiro, who, again, claims to be free speech, but is in support of cracking down on student groups that are pro-ceasefire. But he calls them pro-Hamas and wants the government to shut them down. And so, and you've seen a lot of that, by the way, if you speak out in favor of peace, an end to the Israeli bombing campaign in Gaza, and peace in the region, suddenly you're a bad person, you're anti-Semitic, but whatever pejorative you want to put in there. Yes, she is correct, though, in saying that I don't like what's going on in Palestine right now. Even with all the other stuff that she is wrong about, at least she gets that. Okay, it's correct. Over 11,000 people have been killed in Gaza right now. Around half of them are children. So, look, she also even sat down with the Jewish comedian Amy Kozak to discuss the conflict, and she had spoken out against segregated Muslim quarters in Jerusalem, saying this: I grew up in my grandparents' house. My grandfather grew up in a segregated South. And so when I'm walking through Jerusalem and they say, these are the Muslim quarters, these are where the Muslims are allowed to live, that doesn't feel like a bastion of freedom to me, Owens said on her show. Kozak deflected by saying, well, they choose to live here, you see. It's just where more Muslims are, because there's just a Christian quarter, there's a Jewish quarter, Armenian quarter. They just live, there's just more of them here. Okay, but the thing is, they actually don't have a lot of freedom. Look, yes, do they have more in the borders of Israel than they do in the occupied territories? I think that's a no-brainer on that one. Of course they do, because occupied territories. But according to Vox, while even in the walls of Israel, Palestinians face limited opportunities to own land, build homes. They also face evictions. There's also differences in immigration policy and implicit restrictions on social service access, a lot of which is driven by, of course, joining the military. And according to Tamar Nafar, a Palestinian with Israeli citizenship, they would know, when it comes to poverty, housing, getting permits to build houses, to equal rights when it comes to school, education, everything, we're being treated as worse than second-class citizens. I mean, there it is right there. And that's, again, inside the borders. It's actually way worse in the territories, especially Gaza. So when she points out correctly, and it's weird saying this, correctly, that, hey, this kind of reminds me a little bit of Jim Crow South, although I would think it would be worse. Yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense for her to say that. But and the reason that she's being piled on so much by the right wing, again, when you have polling, let me show you the polling first on this, okay? Because I think this is an important context here when you're looking at support for ceasefire. Okay, you have 56% of Republicans saying, yeah, we would like a ceasefire and de-escalation of violence in Gaza. And that's essentially her position. Okay, hey, let's stop doing that. Let's stop funding this war. Suddenly she's anti-war. And a lot of Republicans feel that way. So great, the more voices we have speaking out against this war, the better. Wonderful, wonderful. Now, she is being piled on, though, by people like Ben Shapiro, and ironically, also the people in the Biden government. So, I mean, look, it's not easy to go against the narrative of the very right wing, currently pro-war, expansionist Israeli government, because that's what it is right now. It's not anti-Semitic to point that out because it's not a reflection on the Jewish people. Okay, it's just the government of a state. And that state happens to be the state of Israel. It's not anti-Semitic to be with the majority of the people who are asking for a ceasefire in order to explore more opportunities for peace in the region. That means less death. Hopefully a lot less death. This is a rare W for Candace Owens, who, look, you know, I think that she's a grifter and isn't really genuine on a lot of things. On this one, it's actually, it's difficult for me to say that she's not genuine on this because I think anybody, when you really look at these pictures and when you look at the images that are coming out of this conflict and the reports, you know, the civilians, you know, that are dying, the children that are dying, because, you know, you've got the life support that's been shut off because they don't have any electricity in the hospitals and things like that. It moves you. I think she might actually be genuinely just appalled, aghast by seeing and hearing the things that we've been seeing and hearing come out of this horrifying war.